I would request Jaideep Mazumdar now to discuss. Jaideep Mazumdar has been writing a series.
Good evening and namaskar. I thank the Shama Prasad Mukherjee Research Foundation for inviting me to speak before such an august gathering. And I thank you all for being present here this lovely evening. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning's Kolkata edition of the Times of India had a news item tucked away in the inside pages. It was about 4 young men who thrashed a police constable after being stopped for a traffic violation in the heart of Calcutta. And when a senior police officer, IPS officer, who happened to be passing by intervened, he was also abused and heckled. He asked for reinforcements. The 4 were arrested and taken to the nearest police station, Goriahat or Rajbihari. A little later, 2 of them were released and very mild charges were slapped on the other 2. By now, by this evening, the 2 also would have been out on bail on personal bonds. The names of these 4 young men were mentioned at the bottom of the news item, and there are no prizes for guessing their identities. The names were Salahuddin, Sahabuddin, etc. The same edition of this newspaper reported on Monday, this last Monday, that a record number of young bikers, about 300 if I remember correctly, were booked in Kolkata for driving without helmets on Sunday, the day Holi was celebrated in Bengal. Anyone from Bengal will tell you how simply keeping a skull cap jutting conspicuously out of your pocket is a license to not wear a helmet. No cop would dare book a biker possessing a skull cap for even the gravest traffic violation. This is the direct fallout of the shameless appeasement of Muslims. I won't say minorities because minorities includes Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, etc. And they are not being appeased by the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Appeasement of Muslims has reached disastrous proportions in Bengal, so much so that, as Shurjitda mentioned, celebration of Saraswati Puja in schools is being frowned upon and even stopped. Notices are being issued to Vidya Bharati schools for imparting lessons in nationalism. Worship of goddess Durga is not allowed in a village near Rabindranath Thakur's Shantiniketan. And a major share, and this is important, a major share of the benefits of many welfare schemes initiated both by the centre and Mamata Banerjee are channeled to Muslims. The fallout has been dangerous for the majority community in Bengal. Emboldened by the appeasement being pursued by Mamata Banerjee and secure in the knowledge that law enforcing authorities who have been rendered ineffective and spineless will wink at even criminal acts on their part, an aggressive section of the Muslims have taken to attacking Hindus. Temples are being routinely vandalized and desecrated, and we get all these videos, small video clips, nearly every day from all over Bengal. Objections are being vociferously voiced over Hindus blowing conch shells or beating drums during pujas, or taking out processions to immerse murtis of gods and goddesses, and even just the other day, playing Holi. And this is no exaggeration. It is documented, well documented, proof of this exists. This aggression and intolerance of one section of Muslims towards Hindus is being driven by another reason for which Mamata Banerjee once again is responsible. I say one section of Muslims. They are a relatively small section even now, but they have started controlling the narrative within the community and are emerging, unfortunately, as a voice of the community. They are the radicalized fundamentalist Salafi Muslims. In her eagerness to cultivate the Muslim vote bank and preserve it, Mamata Banerjee has been encouraging the hardliners within the community in the belief that they exercise control over the community. This has led to Salafi preachers spreading their network in Bengal and taking control of the madrasas and masjids, which wasn't the case till a few years ago. They're teaching and preaching the regressive, harsh and brutal form of Islam that was practiced in the deserts of Arabia some 1400 odd years ago. They're forcing women into burqas, compelling parents to confine their daughters within their homes and sending their sons to only the madrasas or the jihadi factories that they are running. and punishing youngsters for listening to songs, etc. The radicalization, voluntary or forced, of Muslims, especially in rural Bengal, has to be seen to be believed. Till a few years ago, and this is significant, and important, the mullahs in most mosques in Bengal were Bengali speaking. Today, most are Urdu speaking. Nothing wrong with that, except that these Urdu speaking mullahs or preachers are all products of Deoband, which now leans towards Salafi Islam. Many of these mullahs have trained under Salafi scholars. I use the term scholars because for want of any other better term. And they now preach in masjids or teach in madrasas that have been built by funds that have come in from the Middle East that follows Wahhabism. Wahhabi charities fund small welfare projects for poor Muslim folks in Bengal in return for their following Salafi Islam. The radicalization also happens when a lot of Muslim youths go to the Gulf countries for menial jobs. A few months ago, I met a mullah by the name of Nasir Sheikh at a small town called Kebala in West Bengal's Malda district bordering Bangladesh. Sorry. I wrote about him and his dangerous activities in the February issue of Swarajya. I have outlined how he transformed Kebala from a place populated by normal, fun-loving people going about their lives like people in small towns across India. And how they have, that place has become, Kebala has become a town that would resemble a town in, say, Daesh-held Syria or any other part. The alarming part is that there are many Kebalas happening in Bengal. The lives of helpless Muslims in many small towns and villages and districts like Malda, Murshidabad, the 24 Parganas, North and South Dinajpur and Nodia, all bordering Bangladesh, are being taken over by Salafi preaching mullahs. Tens of thousands of Muslims are being radicalized and they are being egged on to attack Hindus, desecrate temples and drive away Hindus from areas where the Muslims have become a majority. I have documented all these in many of the articles that I have written in Swarajya in the recent past. The most unfortunate part for Bengal, unfortunate for Bengal in particular and India in general, is that Mamata Banerjee is complicit in this radicalization of Muslims in the state. She feels that mullahs can deliver, these radical mullahs can deliver the Muslim votes to her. Hardline Salafi mullahs are happy with her and have been playing along. You thus have the Shahi Imam of Kolkata's Tipu Sultan Masjid, a person by the name of Nurur Rahman Barkati, spewing venom against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and issuing a fatwa against Modi. There have been very few objections to that fatwa, as far as I know. Mamata rewards such people with red bacon-fitted SUVs. Barkati is a fundamentalist, and when ordinary Muslims see the government of the day rewarding him and patronizing him, they realize he is powerful and are thus drawn to him. There are countless Barkatis in Bengal whom Mamata has propped up. And she has done grave injustice to Muslims in general as well by doing so. But that is another story. This policy of appeasing the Muslims has another grave fallout. The state administration, including the police, have been totally demoralized. If a senior IPS officer has to live with the ignominy of letting young men who have abused and heckled him go scot-free just because they happen to be Muslims, if constables and lower-ranking police officers have to bear the brunt of Muslim mob attacks, if the police force has to helplessly watch police stations being torched, as happened in Malda and Murshidabad again later, it is natural that they will get frustrated and their collective morale will hit rock bottom. The state civil machinery, administrative machinery, also has suffered similarly. This has severely affected governance in the state. It is true that West Bengal has, ever since the Marxists took over power in 1977, which Shojita has talked about, never scored very high in terms of governance. Under Jyoti Basu, the state administration and the police were made an adjunct of the party. The politicization of the police force and the state administration was complete under him and under his successor, Buddhadev Bhattacharya. sorry. Both these men also pursued a policy of appeasing minorities. But since 2011, when Mamata came to power, this has gone several notches up on her Marxist predecessors. And this has brought Bengal to the brink of disaster. But this is just one part, one major part. Mamata Banerjee, through her sheer populism and pursuance of disastrous economic policies, has pushed Bengal further down the road to ruination. If the forced departure of the Tatars from Singur has put a permanent black mark on Bengal as an investment destination, her playing to the gallery by attempting to discipline private hospitals and schools as of late is sure to keep investors away from Bengal for a long time to come. Mamata's mercurial nature and her policy flip-flops, and even the lack of a well-articulated and clearly defined policies on many important issues contributes to laying Bengal to waste. Bengal is beset by social and religious tensions, poor infrastructure, a poor work culture, lack of quality manpower, and a population that is on a permanent combative and agitation mode, quite like Mamata Banerjee. It is no wonder that, is it any wonder that this state, which has once cradled stalwarts like Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, Jagadish Chandra Bose, just to name a few, ranks amongst the lowest among all Indian states on most parameters. I'll end by a thought. Mamata Banerjee desperately wants to, or really wants to, change the name of a state from West Bengal to simply Bengal. And that's perhaps because I suspect, many have started referring to her state as Waste Bengal, and she doesn't like it. Thank you.